scarcity of naira notes is not a time to remember again. But let's move on very quickly. Nigeria and Saudi Arabia have agreed to a series of investments and corporate deals, including a pledge by Saudi government to invest in the revamping of Nigeria's oil refineries and provide financial support to sustain government's foreign exchange reforms. Now, the agreements were reached at the bilateral meeting between Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu and the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. It was on the sidelines of the Saudi summit in Riyadh. Now, after this meeting, a day after, it was a Saudi-Nigeria roundtable which focused on specific areas of investment. Members of Nigeria's delegation who spoke to me after this important meeting have this to say about the outcome of this meeting. Take a listen.
Well, two stories. The story of Saudi Arabia since 2015 under the leadership of the Crown Prince, and of course, Nigeria since May 2023 under the leadership of Mr. President. The words that were used on all sides to describe what they have both done in the short time that they have been in office: bold, courageous, visionary leadership, and a commitment to the private sector, a commitment to investment, investment by the domestic entrepreneurs in their own countries as well as abroad. And I think the other commitment was that what has been said here today by way of expressions of interest and by way of willingness to travel, willingness to see what is on ground, is going to be followed up by concrete action.
We're already using technology in government extensively, but we also have the backbone to do much more with it. So what we've done is we've invested in silos. We've not connected the silos. So the Nigerian interbank exchange system is very deep, right? I think close to 50 million or so people on it. Through them, the BVN has been a successful identity system. Then you have the NIN, which has also been able to identify over 90% of adults in the country, over I think about close to 120 million Nigerians now ID'd through the NIN system. But we also have internet that has been becoming a lot more ubiquitous, right? It's not affordable, but it's becoming a lot more ubiquitous. More people have access to it. So if we can find a way to improve the quality of our internet, ensure that as the economy grows, more people can get access to it, government has a unique opportunity to actually provide services better, faster, and cheaper. Because if you harmonize those three things I've said, government will understand our people better, will know where they are, will know their reality. Financial system will know them better, which means that we can also give things like credits, access to financial services will improve in the country. Then companies can also build services as well.
In terms of really addressing humanitarian issues, they have a very huge support base for humanitarian aid from Saudi Arabia. So they have the King's Labs Humanitarian Aid and Relief Fund and several other intervention funds. And we would be partnering with the foundation. They would be in Nigeria anytime soon to see the humanitarian situation across the country, and they have promised to support Nigeria to address it. Beyond this, the investment in Nigeria, which has been attracted today in billions of dollars, will actually go towards creating job opportunities for Nigerians, and this will help to lift 50 million people within the next 42 months out of poverty. So on all fronts, this meeting by the president is a win-win for Nigeria and the people of Nigeria.
Nigeria now has the greatest salesman ever. They say if your actions inspire others to dream more, do more, become more, then you are a leader. He has spoken so eloquently about Nigerian opportunities and how these opportunities can be harnessed and be partnered with the Saudi Arabian economy, the biggest economy in Africa and the biggest economy in the Middle East. And that is a partnership that is such a collaboration that can give the best that we can possibly have. Our own area of interest is that of renewable energy. We know we have the huge energy gap in Nigeria. Solar power is a big opportunity. CNG gas is another big opportunity. Transportation and storage and dispensing of these energies are critical. So in the area of energy, I think we have a huge opportunity to collaborate with Saudi Arabian businesses to be able to partner with Nigeria so that we can bridge that divide and be able to benefit on both sides.
We have developed a roadmap already, and we are soon going to have in the first quarter of next year an investment forum where we are inviting people from Dubai, from Saudi Arabia, and all over the world. And I'm happy. I did not know that the Saudi Nigeria Business Council will be established, but that will be done in such a manner that our own will hold after the visitation of the Saudi businessmen, so that we'll be able to queue behind the federal government and maximize the benefits derivable from the various initiatives of the federal government. Because some of the areas are under the exclusive list. Ours are just the incentivizers, and we should be able to provide a level playing field and open up our investors. Our own drive is not just to get investment, but also to develop our own middle class, so that they will be able to. There are so many young people ready to do things, but we are not even enumerating them. We don't even recognize them. In Bauchi, we have developed a robust roll call of who is who in Bauchi, age 25 to 65. And of course, I am amazed to discover that we have over 2,000 young people who are ready to develop Bauchi through their own initiative, through their own entrepreneurial skill. And that's where we go, not only dependent on outside investment, but certainly we need the foot soldiers at the home front.
Joining me live to get his perspective on various levels of meetings in Saudi Arabia is Mr. Bola Olojede. He's Executive Director, DMA Advisory and Management Services Limited, and a notable public affairs analyst. It's good to see you, Mr. Olojede. Thank you so much for your time on the program.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Tolu. I'm by the way, I'm no longer with DMA. But
oh, great, great. Thank you so much for that correction. I still saw it on your page earlier today. But wait, let me ask this. We talked about the US trip. We talked about the Indian trip. And now it's Saudi trip. One thing is common in all of this, and that is the drive for investment. How does it come to you?
Correct.
Over to you. How does this come to you, Mr. Olojede?
Well, I think the president has been doing great as what I would call as the chief marketer of the country, going around all these places and speaking with conviction. That is very, very important. If you see the passion with which he speaks, it's endearing. However, like the Saudi Minister of Trade and Investment said, good intentions are not enough. So it is now a matter of how we turn all this conversation into reality or into manifestation in the local economy here in Nigeria. That is the next step after all the marketing pitches around.
Let's now look at those sectors that we think that Saudi Arabia can help partner Nigeria, or they can on both sides for mutual benefits. What comes to your mind?
Of course, oil and gas is the first thing that comes to mind. Saudi Arabia is a major producer of crude oil. I think they are next only to the United States when it comes to volume of production. Not only that, Saudi Arabia has done very well for itself when it comes to oil and gas. Saudi Aramco is a behemoth. I remember that post COVID-19, when you see the kind of profit declared by that institution, in fact, some commentators describe the profitability as obscene because it was humongous. Whereas when you contrast that with what we have in Nigeria, you cannot say the same thing. So we have a lot of things to learn at the same time as to collaboration and maybe even tutelage of the Saudi Arabians in how to navigate a lot of things and make better come out of our own oil and gas resources. For now, we're not making the best of what we have. And Saudi Arabia can teach us to do better.
There are plans to put pen to paper, but many will ask this question. When we have meetings like this, implementation and following this to the latter is what everyone wants to understand, because the man on the street, all he wants to see is the impact of all of this discussions and these billions of naira and dollars that we keep mentioning. So how do you see it trickling down? For example, digital economy. I saw Mr. Bosun Tijani speaking passionately on how Nigerians can explore all of the positives in that space.
Yeah, you see, I want to believe that the president leaving such a high-powered delegation, including public and private sector, and having high-level engagement in Saudi Arabia, is interested in making it happen at home. And the conviction with which he spoke and with which he was accepted by the Saudi authorities is impressive. So that could be taken as an indication that the president is actually interested and committed to making this happen for us in the country. Whether it is in the area of refineries, Saudi has functioning refineries, or is it in the area of crude oil production? Saudi has been very successful with crude oil production. As a matter of fact, a lot of Nigerians will have seen the video of how Saudi monitors oil production across all the oil fields in Saudi Arabia. There's nobody running haywire on top of some pipelines and the creeks. Nobody is doing that. Rather, you have some folks who are sitting down in a room and monitoring the entire production of oil across all the oil fields in Saudi Arabia. Here in Nigeria, one of the problems we're dealing with is oil theft. Is there something we can learn about deploying technology to make oil theft a thing of the past, or at least dramatically reduced? It is possible if we're committed to making that happen. And I'm glad that the oil and gas people also, both at the regulatory side of things and all players in the private sector, were at that meeting. Whatever we need to do to make it count for us, we need to do it. It is still fingers crossed. Is it going to be just another talk again? But I hope not. Even from the passion with which the Saudi minister spoke, the Saudi minister was particularly saying something along the line of, but he wants to come to Nigeria. By the time he comes to Nigeria, it is not going to be exploratory, because they will have had robust engagement with the for investment. And when he comes around, it is to be crossing the T's and dotting the I's on the implementation side of things. So Saudi is ready. I want to believe that Nigeria is also ready. We can put all this together and make it count for this country and for its people. The issue of direct investment, being able to put some dollars on the ground for us, an investment, is also very important, because the question is, can Saudi do it? Does he have the capacity? And the answer is yes. Saudi can do it. He has the capacity both in terms of investing foreign exchange in this economy and also collaborating with us on several investment areas in the economy. So it is left for us to be able to smoothen the road and make it happen. The two parties, to me, are ready to make things happen.
Let's follow up with breaking bottlenecks. Now, there was an example cited there directly. The business, the investor said he came in to the telecommunications sector and it got to a point where issue of percentage came in. You know what I'm talking about. How do you see us breaking all of this bottlenecks, ease of doing business, transparency as we deal, so that it's opened? These guys want to do business, but they don't want to cut corners. So how do government staff, civil servants and all that key into the agenda of the ministers? Of course, at the same time, the president, he said it, the buck stops on his table and no one should disturb this inflows. So what do you think about changing that mindset?
Number one, the president has to create a link that makes it possible for him to know exactly what is going on. So if a particular investor is having problems, there must be a high-level committee that investor can speak with, and they can make a road for him wherever there is no road. That is very important. Otherwise, civil service remain what it is, civil service, and there could be all sort of problems along the way. But if there's a direct communication at the right level to ensure that any investor that is facing any problem can communicate this at the right level, and there could be intervention, then we'll be able to break down all these barriers, the corruption traps along the way that could frustrate investment. The way the president said he's interested in this, and I want to believe he is, he will ensure that the road is smooth for investors that are coming from Saudi or any other places that we have gone to.
Well, interesting stuff. Now, before I let you go, what will now be your outlook? Despite all of these challenges, revenue outlook seems to be fair. Taiwo Idele is working night and day to make sure we address issues around fiscal policy. And the monetary side, the CBN is also doing their bit to address all the challenges we face. What are you thinking of? We have a few weeks to the end of 2023 and we dig into 2024. What's your outlook, Mr. Olojede?
I think it will get tougher before it gets better. Incidentally, things seems to be adjusting faster than I thought. I've seen the inflation figure released. Inflation is at 27.3 now. Of course, inflation went up, but it did not go up as fast as it was before. Can we begin in the course of implementing some of this issue, fast forward or create a faster rate of recovery for this economy? So to my mind, all these good intentions, all this very strong marketing initiative, we now have to bring it to manifestation at home via strong commitment to be shown at the highest level of decision-making in this country. If we do that, we will be able to bring Nigeria's economy out of the doldrums faster than the bookmakers are already predicting. Can we stabilize the Naira? How fast can we do that? All the initiatives around foreign exchange that we are talking about, can we begin to bring them to bear? Can we deal with matter of inflation, including things around food security and the fact that food remains a big component of that composite inflation figure that we are talking about? If we deal with food matters, it will help to drag down the inflationary pressure that we are facing. So all these issues, we want to cultivate 500,000 hectares of land that we have not. When are we going to start cultivating it? Can we move to the ground and start to make these things happen? The faster we make those things happen, the faster it will be for us to recover from the doldrums that we currently found ourselves. I'm positive, I'm hopeful, and I want to believe that I will not be disappointed.
So much. So now I refer to you as former executive director, DMA Advisory and Management Services Limited, and a public affairs analyst. Thank you so much, Mr. Bola Olojede. It's really good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Tinubu.